Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel and to part 2 of the Discovery restoration series of videos. So straight off the bat I'm going hell for leather with a screwdriver, just starting to take some of the interior out whilst it's still at work. So the reason why I'm starting to strip it slowly now is because I was a few days away from taking it over to the unit that we have in the family now. But I just wanted to kind of see what I were going to be working with just to give myself some ideas and tick over the next few days before it actually got to the unit. So I started taking out things like sun visors, bits of trim from the very back where the third row of seats, those little dicky seats if you like, whatever you would like to call them are, and just sort of started to see what I'd be working with. I mean, I know it's a little bit late now, but it's just to have something to think about before it actually gets to the unit. So here we are with the Discovery on the back of the trailer. It's only half loaded up at this point. I just wanted to get a quick video whilst it was quiet because there were people leaving from work and just sort of busying about, so I thought I'd get a quick video as only half of the tie downs are on. The 110 towed absolutely amazing as usual, and here we are at the unit now, and under its own steam drove off and drove onto the ramp. I don't know why I haven't tried this before, but it dawned upon me that I've never pressed the eject button on the radio. So I decided to do that and I was not disappointed. I found a Total French CD. In my head now confirms that the Discovery definitely did travel to the south of France. Even though there's no photographic evidence of that, in my mind it definitely confirms it. Now on to removing the seats. Some of the bolts were captive, some of them you do need a spanner on one side and you ratchet on the other to get them out, but it's not a difficult job and the seats had already been in and out, so I didn't really have to struggle with any of them. I'm not sure why my face is like that, that's my concentration face. So as I say, some of the bolts were missing from that second row and scattered about all over the place, so it was just about collecting them, bagging them up and labelling them. Just removing all of the things that I'd put in the boot, like bits of trim and spare wheel covers and other bits of rubbish that I'd collected in there. Just moving them all out and now removing that second row of seats. Now onto the little dicky, the third row of seats. There's a selection of T30s in there that you just have to remove. And a quick look up there, just at where the seatbelt anchor point is and across that rail. And on this side, it was pretty good, I can't really argue, but on the other side you'll soon see, it was an absolute nightmare and I've been thinking about it ever since. However, I've now come up with a plan of what I'm going to do, but that'll be revealed again in the next video. But for now, we're just stripping it back and getting it ready for that stage. And this is the original boot floor, believe it or not. I did think it had a replacement boot floor, but it doesn't. It's just at some point in its life, somebody's put in some very random patches, if you like, just where holes have started to appear. But it is definitely time for a new boot floor now, along with an array of other things. And now I'm going to take out the driver's seat, and unfortunately I couldn't get that on film really because I was struggling to prop my phone up in different places anyway, and this side we're up against a wall, so. And this is just sort of what I'm working with now. Still got a fair bit of interior to rip out, but at least I'm getting somewhere now. So on the three doors, they have a large trim piece that goes sort of from your second row of seats, from your driver's side anchor point of the seatbelt, right back to pretty much the boot. And that's all one big piece, so you have to remove the driver's side seatbelt. You have to remove those second row windows, or at least get the screws out and things like that. And then you're able to remove that panel. These covers just pop off, quite simple. It were a little bit difficult to do one-handed and on camera. We're just trying so hard not to break anything. and these screws just come out. So amongst the chaos, I was removing the sunroofs and that trim around them, and just making sure that any little screws, nuts and bolts, I just bagged them all up separately, and then just used little sticky notes and wrote down what they are, bagged them up and just put them somewhere safe, because the last thing that I want to do is start losing all of those screws and little nuts and bolts that I might not be able to replace or remember what they were so I could get a replacement for them. And this is what it looks like with no headlining, the sunroofs removed and those bits of trim gone that I was describing earlier. And I removed most of the carpet at this point. The only thing that was left to do is pretty much remove that centre console bit. And as you can see, I've discovered some more scary holes, but I'm going to be optimistic because I think anything can be fixed, and this one is definitely not going to the scrapyard in the sky. So I decided the next job was to remove this outer aluminium panel to expose that inner body shell where all the steel is and those scary holes are. So to get that panel off, there's a selection of nuts and bolts, and there's also a layer of sealant around there as well. So all I'm doing here is literally just scraping off that top layer, getting the thick of it off, and then I go in with like a chisel or a scraper just to get in there. I use the hammer as well just to try and really hammer that in and sort of push any sealant out and be able to move it and wiggle it around. So as you can see here, most of it is prized off. It was just a bit of a task, to be honest. It's not the most difficult thing to do in the world, but that sealant is on there pretty good. I mean, I know it really wasn't designed to come off, but in these situations it definitely needed to come off. So here it is with that aluminium panel removed, and as you can see, there are a few little scary bits and bats and little holes everywhere, but all of these things can be fixed. It's only metal at the end of the day. And I've got a task of, and I don't know which one will be worse, is removing wax oil from a 110 or removing this sealant from the Discovery. I'm yet to find that out. However, I imagine the wax oil will still be the most difficult because I didn't have the best tool set up then. So back onto interior trim removal, just removing those seat belts. I got rid of the cubby box earlier, I unplugged the radio and just started pretty much taking everything apart as best I could, just taking little screws out of places and trying to be methodical with it all and remembering to bag everything up. Some of these gaiters were destroyed, so I'm going to get some new ones, and when I do get some new ones I will let you know where I get them from. I get asked a lot about what tools I use and what sort of brands I use. Blue Spot have actually been kind enough to donate some tools towards the channel. I've bought a lot of stuff from Blue Spot in the past because I've always had a good experience from them. So this is just a 13-piece impact bolt and nut removal set, and this came in handy quite a lot because a lot of the nuts and bolts rounded off. However, there were just some that, to be honest, I just couldn't be bothered with and ended up using the angle grinder. So as you can see, the sills again are looking quite scary, but you can get all replacement panels for things like this. So all I did to finish off was take things like carpets, seats and other bits of interior home with me to vacuum the carpets and give the seats a really good scrub. These seats were pretty caked because I just tried to wash off sort of the metal on the doors, and unfortunately it did get splattered around everywhere, did little bits of mud and rust and things like that. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you again next time.